Now then, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has instructed his country's mission to the United Nations to postpone a Security Council vote on ending Israeli settlements in the Palestinian territories and in East Jerusalem. Egypt had circulated the draft resolution on Wednesday, with the UN set to vote on Thursday. However, just hours before that debate, Egypt said it needed more time for consultations. Earlier, the Israeli Prime Minister, that's Benjamin Netanyahu, criticised the resolution as anti-Israel and called on his US allies to block it, a view supported by the US President-elect, Donald Trump. Well, the United States has vetoed dozens of resolutions critical of Israel and its illegal settlement policy, most recently back in 2011. Since Israel occupied the West Bank in 1967, 131 officially recognised settlements have been established and almost 100 unofficial outposts. That's illegal under the Fourth Geneva Convention, which prohibits an occupying power from transferring citizens from its own territory into occupied land. Well, in 1979, UN Security Council Resolution 446 affirmed that the convention applied to the Palestinian territories, determining that Israel's settlement policy was illegal and an obstacle to peace. The US abstained, but the population of the settlement has continued to increase, speeding up under the current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It's estimated that there are now almost 400,000 settlers in the West Bank. Let's speak straight away to Al Jazeera's senior political analyst, Marwan Bashara. And Marwan, just hours, as I say, before this vote was due to take place, the rug is suddenly pulled. What's going on?
Well, look, it's very difficult to entrust the wolves with the lambs, right? So somewhere between President-elect Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and the general dictator Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, it's very difficult to conclude anything fair and just about the issue of occupied Palestine. So at the end of the day, one slap of the face after another. It wasn't exactly clear whether the Obama administration was going to veto or abstain or vote for any such draft resolution in the first place. Be that as it may, and to be very direct about this, as you stated in your report earlier, you know, it's been 36 years since such a resolution has passed, and we went from a few thousand settlers back in 1979 to some 500,000 settlers today. So even a UN resolution or UN Security Council resolution, if it's passed, it doesn't work. Imagine now when you have all these regional international powers that are against even passing any such resolution. So in the end of the day, there is no will, there is no way, there is no intention to do anything. And unfortunately, Nick, after 8 years of Obama, after that lofty speech in Cairo, comparing Palestinian struggle to that of South Africa against apartheid, comparing it to that of India against British colonialism, and for 8 years he did almost nothing for that Palestinian issue. He's not going to do that now in the last few days of his administration.
So, Mar, what do you reckon? What's your sense of what's going on behind the scenes? What's Egypt up to? Are they going to re-present the resolution? What do you think might happen?
Well, look, clearly, we already have a watered-down resolution presented by the Egyptians because, as I said, President Sisi has already made his alliance with Netanyahu clear to the world, you know, an alliance against terror, as it were. And now we have President-elect Trump. So those who thought that President Obama might do some good at the end of his administration, not necessarily recognize a Palestinian state, not necessarily draw some sort of parameters insisting on a Palestinian state and the self-determination of the Palestinian people based on a two-state solution, one for Israel and one for the Palestinians. None of that, of course, is going to see the light. Certainly, after all of those 8 years of failures and disappointments, clearly it doesn't seem that President Obama is going to be able to pull a rabbit out of his hat at this point in time. Leaving it to the Egyptians and the Israelis, the best you can see going forward, Nick, is a resolution so watered down that it's probably better to have the Palestinians without any such resolution than to have one pass at this time.
All right, Marwan, thanks very much indeed. Marwan Bashara reporting there from Doha.